Why would an emperor, with all the power in the world at his fingertips, choose to descend to the level of a gladiator, risking his life in bloody battles? Is it ego, madness, or something deeper and darker? Commodus wasn't just a Roman emperor. He was a living enigma. While his predecessors sought to expand borders and strengthen Rome, Commodus abandoned the throne to fight in the sands of the arena. To many, this seemed like a mad whim. But what if there were hidden psychological reasons behind this decision? What if the pressures of absolute power pushed him toward a fate he didn't fully understand? This story isn't just about an emperor and his battles. It's about how the loneliness of power, family trauma, and the quest for validation can consume even the most powerful man in the world. What Commodus found in the arena wasn't just blood. It was a reflection of the internal battle he fought every day. What drove Commodus to turn the Colosseum into his personal stage? What was the true meaning behind his fights? And to what extent did his need to prove himself as a gladiator reveal the deepest flaws of the Roman system and the imperial psyche itself? Get ready to uncover the dark secrets behind the most controversial behavior of his life. Today's video dives into the mind of Commodus, exploring the psychological and emotional reasons that led him to seek blood in the arena. We'll uncover the pressures that shaped his character, the traumas that haunted him, and how his reign was marked by an obsession that defied Rome's expectations. If you want to understand what really happened behind the scenes of Roman power, leave a like and subscribe to the channel. Not only does this help spread these fascinating stories, but it ensures you'll stay up to date with all the mysteries and revelations about the most powerful empire in history. Imagine growing up under the shadow of one of the most celebrated emperors in Roman history. This was Commodus' reality as the son of Marcus Aurelius, a ruler revered for his stoic philosophy and steady hand in turbulent times. While the world saw a perfect emperor, Commodus likely saw an impossible standard, a father whose every action was a symbol of wisdom and restraint. The young heir was thrust into a role that demanded perfection, and from the very start, the weight of expectation bore down on him. Commodus' upbringing wasn't ordinary, even by imperial standards. Educated by renowned scholars and surrounded by the grandeur of Rome, his environment may seem ideal. Yet, the pressure to emulate his father's greatness would have been suffocating. Was it any wonder that Commodus sought a different identity? In a society that idolized Marcus Aurelius, perhaps Commodus felt the need to rebel, to prove that he was not just a reflection of his father's ideals, but a man capable of forging his own path. As emperor, Commodus' decisions often seem to defy logic, and many historians have dismissed him as reckless. But could his fascination with the arena have stemmed from a deep-seated desire to escape his father's shadow? Gladiators were admired for their raw power and courage, traits that contrasted sharply with the stoicism of Marcus Aurelius. Perhaps in the sands of the arena, Commodus found a stage where he could redefine his worth, not as an emperor, but as a man who wielded power on his own terms. This quest for individuality raises a provocative question. Did Commodus need to distinguish himself from his father drive him toward the gladiatorial arena? Or was there something more, something hidden beneath the surface of his bold and violent choices? Commodus' dual role as both emperor and gladiator was a paradox that baffled Rome. On the one hand, he held the supreme power of life and death over an empire. On the other, he willingly stepped into the brutal and unforgiving world of gladiatorial combat. For the people of Rome, this contradiction was both thrilling and deeply unsettling. How could the most powerful man in the world lower himself to fight alongside slaves and criminals? The arena was a space defined by bloodshed and spectacle, far removed from the grandeur of the imperial palace. Yet, Commodus embraced this world with enthusiasm, donning the guise of Hercules and challenging opponents in front of roaring crowds. To his critics, this behavior was evidence of madness or unchecked ego. But to his supporters, it showcased his bravery and divine strength. These opposing views mirrored the contradictions within Commodus himself. a ruler caught between the expectations of the throne and his desire to connect with the people on a primal level. For Commodo, the arena was more than a stage for physical combat. It was a battleground for his identity. As a gladiator, he could strip away the political intrigue and isolation of imperial life, engaging in a contest where his strength and skill spoke louder than titles or lineage. In the eyes of his audience, he became something more tangible than an emperor, a living symbol of Rome's might. But this duality was not without cost. Each fight blurred the lines between leader and entertainer, raising questions about his ability to command respect. This tension between his two roles begs the question: was Commodo's obsession with the arena a sign of rebellion against imperial norms, or was it an attempt to forge a deeper connection with his subjects? Could the Emperor Gladiator have been seeking something even more profound, a reflection of his inner struggles in the chaos of the arena? For Commodo, the arena wasn't merely a place for physical dominance. It was a sanctuary where his inner demons took shape. Unlike the imperial court, with its endless intrigues and betrayals, the arena offered clarity. Every fight had rules, even if they were brutal. Every opponent was visible, every challenge immediate. It was a stark contrast to the faceless conspiracies and political games that defined his rule. In the arena, he could fight his battles openly, something his role as emperor rarely allowed. Yet the arena was more than just an escape. It became a mirror, reflecting the turmoil within Commodo's mind. Each swing of the sword, each drop of blood spilled, echoed the struggles he faced as a ruler. The arena allowed him to strip away the layers of power and expectation, confronting the core of his identity. Did he see himself as a god, a warrior, or simply a man desperate to feel alive? These questions, though unspoken, were perhaps what drew him to the blood-soaked sands time and again. The crowds, too, played a vital role in this dynamic. Their cheers and adoration were unlike the calculated flattery of the Senate or the fear-driven loyalty of the military. In the arena, the connection was raw and visceral, a direct exchange of energy between Commodo and his audience. But was this adoration enough to fill the void left by the isolation of power? Or did it only deepen his need to prove himself, leading to an endless cycle of combat and performance? As the battles continued, the lines between the emperor and the gladiator began to blur further. The question lingered: was the arena truly a place of freedom for Commodo, or had it become another prison, one of his own making? Commodo's obsession with the arena didn't just redefine his legacy. It redefined the very perception of Rome's leadership. While some saw his actions as bold and divine, others viewed them as a dangerous sign of the empire's decline. For the Roman elite, an emperor risking his life in combat was an affront to tradition and a threat to the stability of the empire. But for the common people, it was a spectacle, a rare glimpse of an emperor who seemed larger than life, yet human enough to bleed. This dichotomy in public perception mirrored the larger fractures within Roman society. Commodo's gladiatorial pursuits symbolized the growing tension between the ideals of the Republic and the realities of the empire. His decision to fight in the arena challenged the very structure of Roman power, undermining the sanctity of the emperor's role. It was as if Commodo himself was testing the limits of imperial authority, pushing against the boundaries of what Rome would accept from its leader. Yet these actions came at a steep cost. By the end of his reign, Commodo's reputation was in tatters, and his obsession with the arena was blamed for Rome's political and cultural decay. His refusal to conform to the expectations of his position alienated him from the Senate and paved the way for conspiracies that would eventually lead to his assassination. But even as his enemies plotted against him, Commodo remained undeterred, fixated on his vision of glory. As the sands of the arena soaked up the blood of his final battles, one question loomed over his legacy. Was Commodo's life a cautionary tale of power corrupted by hubris, or a misunderstood quest for freedom and meaning in a world that demanded perfection? Perhaps the answer lies not in the man himself, but in the empire that created him. As we've seen, Commodo's obsession with the arena and his complex legacy raise questions about power, identity, and the empire's future. But speaking of Rome's military might, have you ever wondered what happened to the legions that disappeared from history? What mysteries lie behind these vanishing units and their commanders? If you're intrigued by how decisions can shape the course of history, whether in the arena or on the battlefield, then you won't want to miss my next video, The Roman Legions That Vanished from History. Explore the haunting fates of legendary legions like the 9 Hispana and XXI Dioteriana. Click here to join the journey into the unknown.